having that attitude towards life makes a difference in everything you do. It's really, you never expected to go through something like this.
No, you didn't see it coming. I mean, at the beginning of every year, I'm always like, it's 2020, like, here's the new year, it's 2020. And I think that's hard to keep up because I've noticed for myself personally, sometimes these new things that come in with another generation, I don't get it. Hancock, and you are listening to MichMash, a place where I get to talk to the weird, wacky, wonderful people of this world, people I adore and want to know more about. Today, my guest is John Martin Ramsey. John just celebrated 90 years of age and is better than ever. He is an author, and his writings reflect his experiences with life. On his Between the Finite and Infinite podcast, he takes small bits of easily understood situations to grasp the magnitude of the insight. Hi, John.
Hi. Wow. What a beautiful day. And I love the introduction. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Okay. All right. Woo. I get an A on that one. All right. Awesome sauce. So here we are. We're podcasting in place today. How long have you been sheltering?
How long have I been
sheltering? Staying home.
Sheltering. Oh, yeah. Well, in a couple of days, it'll be 5 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard, right?
Well, at my age, no, it hasn't changed things much. And I'm retired. I have Social Security. I don't have to face the issues that so many people are facing. And it's so tough. I can't believe that I am living through this new age. It's really, you never expected to go through something like this.
No, you didn't see it coming. I mean, at the beginning of every year, I'm always like, it's 2020, like, here's the new year, it's 2020. Oh, what's going to happen this year? And you get these ideas of what you want to see happen and how exciting it's all going to be. And then we got into this year and I was like, oh, this looks way different than I thought it was going to look. It's a very interesting experience. And of course, there's a lot of sad things going on. Yet, as we at Medici know, there's also a lot of silver linings that, we need to look to and be aware of so that we can keep moving forward.
Well, I've certainly had a silver lining. I just feel so fortunate. Yeah.
So I miss seeing you at Medici. I miss seeing all my friends at Medici. That part has been difficult, but let's talk about, I mean, you've done a lot in your lifetime. You have many books.
It's it's many years, 9 decades.
So when did you start writing? When did you decide I need to become an author and I need to get books out there?
Well, I first started doing some writing back in the mid-60s. I wrote a piece about a school I was director of on the National Conservation magazine, I think it was, and it was published, and I found that I enjoyed writing. So I've been doing some of that all the time, but about 4 years ago now, I suddenly developed BPV, which is a vertigo problem. I turned over in bed and the whole world started spinning. I couldn't even get out of bed. We had to get an ambulance to get me to the hospital. They found out it was some nuts are loose in my head.
That's a difficult thing though, vertigo. I have a family member that has dealt with it and it's not easy.
No. And so I was not a curtail. I've been a dancer since I was 17. I got into country dancing.
Really?
And, that's been mostly my avocation, but then it became my profession too towards the end. And after I retired here in St. Louis, my wife and I met her at a dance, and we have been teaching homeschool families country dancing, the joy of being together, dancing as a community. So I could not dance when I'm dizzy like that, you know. I had
No.
to hang on to things. And so what am I going to do with my life? And I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, which is when I usually have a creative insight. My brain has been working while I've been sleeping.
That's, yeah, cool. That's a good thing.
And I thought, oh, you had some experiences with life, and that would make a pretty good novel. I had never thought I would tackle a novel. That just boggles my mind, the complexity of it. But I had this idea, and so I started because I couldn't do anything else. I had to sit down and I could be on the computer and type. So I did. I wrote a novel. I'm not too pleased with it. It's sort of about halfway through. It took over on its own.
Yes. As I believe that there's a lot of authors that talk about that though, in the
Yeah,
writing
right.
process, that the story takes on its own life.
Yeah. So I did this novel and then progressed to other things. And then a couple of years ago, well, no, a year ago in February, I went to a meeting. I had my wife and I had helped publish a book, or get it ready for publication, by a friend psychologist who was dying, and he was a pioneering psychologist. So we had made a book of it, made an audio book of it, but it just wasn't going anywhere. And I heard about podcasting, and I thought, well, I could take that book and divide it up into little podcasts. And so I went to this seminar to learn how to do podcasting, and Bob Anderson was
Oh,
there.
another great Medici friend of ours.
So he's the one that said, oh, you've got to come to Medici Media Space Monday morning. I said, well, you know, that'd be fine. I'd love to do something like that, but I don't have a car on Monday mornings. He said, well, I'll come and get you. So for half a year, he did. Every Monday morning, he came and picked me up and brought me home. Sometimes we go out to lunch, bring me home afterwards, and got me onto podcasting. So now I have Marlowe's book, the psychologist book. It's called Flippin' Freud. Then I have my own book, which has turned into Answers Become Questions. That's my philosophy of life, I guess, to realize that there's so much to learn. We always have questions. There are always more questions.
Yes.
Having that attitude towards life makes a difference in everything you do. So, okay, I had this book, Answers Become Questions, and so I started a podcast on that because, you know, it's a heavy book. It's a good one. I would love to. I got it.
It's on Amazon. Yeah, show us a
It's
picture.
on Amazon.
Let's see
Yeah,
it.
here it is.
There it is.
There's the question marks. I like the question marks. They look like a party.
I love it.
Life is a party. So anyway, yeah. So I have a podcast now called Between the Finite and the Infinite.
So talk about that. I mean, it sounds like a very interesting, you know, like I said in here, small bits of easily understood situations to grasp the magnitude of the insight. Give us some ideas.
Well, humans seem to want to pigeonhole everything, put it in boxes, classify everything. We have our classification systems. And I have learned that life doesn't seem to fit in boxes. What is it? I can't think of the group, the psychologists that look at your personality, make great.
Yeah. Myers-Briggs.
Myers-Briggs. That's
Yep.
Thank you. Myers-Briggs. Yeah, they put you in boxes, but nobody fits in the box completely.
No, right.
And in everything, I find that we don't fit in boxes. You know, we classify people as to their skin color. And in the book, I tell about experience I had substitute teaching here in St. Louis at Brittany Woods Middle School. Went into a 7th grade class, and it was a science class, and the teacher didn't know me, what I had expertise in. She had written on the board, have the students read chapter 2, write out all 10 questions at the end of the chapter in longhand and answer them in complete sentences. Well,
sounds fun.
I'm not that kind of teacher. So I first told them a dog story. That's another one of my
Dog
books.
tales. Yes, I love it. That's awesome.
I made a collection of dog stories. So I had a dog tale, which I told the kids to let them know that I was a human being, you know.
Yes.
Not a teacher.
And not going to bore them to death.
That wants them to write out in longhand. So I had to ask one of the kids for a textbook because there wasn't anyone on the desk. And chapter 2 is on classifications. So I said, well, that's something I know something about and I'm interested in it. And, you know, we classify everything. People want to classify because we are human beings. We are not God. We don't know everything. And so all we can think about is what's finite. You can put it in a box. You give it a word, give it a name, tag it. So what would you like to classify? And they said people. Okay, that's good. So how do you want to classify them? How old they are, how high they are, their weight, you know, their eye color. They said, no, skin color. And I said, watch it, John.
Yeah.
Because it was 80% Black in the classroom. But I drew a line on the board and I put over here is Black and over here is white. And I said, okay, so we can take a photometer and measure your skin and we will find out that everybody belongs on this line somewhere. Now we're going to classify people. What colors are you talking about? They said black and white. And I said, so where do you want to make the division? They said 50-50. So I drew a line. I said, okay, all these people are Black and all these people are white. And they objected to that. They didn't like that idea. And they said, well, they're not Black. They're you know, all shades is brown. And another guy said, yeah, and they aren't white either, and they're pink.
Right, but there's lots of different shades.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
You know,
the kids. So did the kids like?
They warmed up to this idea. They could see where they were on the line, and that I said, okay, you don't like 50-50. What do you want? 60-40, 95-5? You know, where do you want to draw the line? Because we're going to classify people. And I said, I think you understand something now that most adults don't understand. Now that is another example, you know, this classification, putting things into boxes. And if you get out of the box, you look at the whole world differently. You look at other people because they have different ideas. They're in different boxes, or maybe they're not in a box. They have but they're out of your box. You are in a box.
I like the idea of, and it's true, because, you know, I mean, I don't like boxes and, you know, I've never fit in one. So it's, you know, but I think of that with other people too when I meet them. You know, to me, it's like blank slate. I don't know anything about you. So I always start with love. I mean, I'm one of those people that right away starts with love with people and figure, I probably love you. So let's just learn more about you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it really opens you up, I think, to see more, to not start with, I'm going to start classifying you right away. Right?
And yet we all are prone to do that.
Right, but you have to be aware that you do it so
You
that you
have to be
don't do
aware
it.
that you do that. And that's the whole purpose of my book, Answers Become Questions, to open you up so that you can look at other people as pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
we,
part of everybody, like you're all one. You're
yeah,
all actually
we're
one.
all part of it, and we
You
don't see the whole
know?
picture yet.
Yeah, and if you would understand how you have much more in common with everyone around you, even if you don't think you do, you do. You know, it's been really interesting, I think, during this sheltering in place to watch we celebrities who are such, mysterious to us in many ways, right? And how the celebrities are all doing these various sheltering in place videos, and you're seeing their backgrounds,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And you're like, oh, they have a kitchen. They have, yeah, well, okay, yeah, yeah, they got all that stuff. Their bed's kind of messy. Like, just like the different places people have chosen as their background has been really interesting. And I think it's fun because I think it normalized a lot of these people in our minds,
Yeah, yeah.
seeing them
Well,
in their own space.
when you have this concept that we are finite, living in between the finite and the infinite. That's what today is. Now, here and now is in between. This is the day we have to learn something, to live, to give something. And I had experiences with in Denmark because of my dancing. I had gotten interested in Denmark and interested in other ways. The Scandinavian countries are a bit different. And my first trip overseas was to Denmark, and I realized that, well, I was told, it was a communist country or a socialist country, which it is not. It's a cooperative country because they understand this concept of um, being finite beings in this infinite space between the extremes.
Okay.
We don't know what this, we always want, especially Americans, we want to be the best, at the top, or you're not at the top, you're at the bottom.
Right. Which I wonder if that's part of the issue with why we weren't really prepared for what's happening right now, because we felt like perhaps we were untouchable.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, my
I know
son,
that can't happen here,
my
you
youngest
know?
son married a Dane because of my interest in Denmark, and I ran an exchange program with Denmark. So
Really?
dancers over there, and they sent gymnasts over here um, at all levels, teenagers and adults. That went on for about, well, it's still going on over 10 years. We had over 1,000 people that were involved in. So I got to know something about Denmark, and now I have a Danish daughter-in-law and 2 Danish grandsons, and now 2 Danish great-granddaughters.
Oh my gosh, cool. That's
Yeah.
so,
So
one of the things that I'm super interested in knowing about you, because and I would love to know your advice for all of us that, that wish to at one point get to age 90 and over. You've kept up. You have kept up with technology. I mean, this morning, here we are, we're throwing all this new stuff at you. Okay, click on this link, and then you need this, and then you need that, and you're like, do 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 do. Okay, yeah, ready to go. So like, and then you went and learned how to do podcasting and all these things that I think it seems I see a lot of people as they get older, they quit keeping up. And I have it in my head. I'm like, I want to be one of those people that keep up with it. That I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I understand all of it. My daughter's on TikTok. She shows me videos on TikTok. Here I am, a social media person, but I've not really ventured into TikTok. I may not, I seem older for it, and that's not my audience, but at least I like know what it is and I kind of look at it. How did you always keep up? I mean, were you conscious of it, or was it your curious mind?
uh, I don't know. Uh, I think all of us are born with different characteristics. It's sort of innate, and then we have different experiences, and that also goes into the mix. So I've just always had an interest in technology. We, my dad, I got a lot of it from him. He had a wire recorder. Before the days of tape recorders, before the days of computers, we had tape recorders. And before tape recorders, we had wire recorders.
Really?
Yeah.
What is a wire recorder?
Well, instead of a tape, it's like a piano wire, a very thin wire on spools. And as it runs through the head, it gets magnetized, and you use just like a tape recorder.
Really?
Yeah. So I have both of my dads here. They're not working now, and I don't know what's happened to the spools we had. But yeah, we kids used to play with that. So
How big is it? What size is a wire recorder?
just like a tape recorder.
Really? So you like
Yeah.
carry it around with you?
Yeah, you carry portable. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so you've seen a lot of different technology.
Yeah, and Dad, even when I was 6 years old, this was during the Depression time. Dad was organizing the steel workers. He was a steel worker. He worked at Bethlehem Steel, and times were difficult and dangerous. And he got the workers to organize to help each other, and also to put some pressure on the company to make things better for them, because the president of the company lived in a palatial home that had a fence around it, and armed guards up on the hill.
Wow.
So, and the workers, we lived in very poor housing, and we had no health insurance, nothing like that. These were, and it was just out of during the Depression. So Dad organized the labor union. We'd go down to the union hall. He was elected the first president of the local union. We go down to the union hall as a 6-year-old, and my two brothers and my sister, and we would stuff and stamp envelopes to call for a union meeting. And Dad would print these out on something before the days of copiers.
Right.
A tray with gelatin in it, and he would type up his brochure, get it arranged, and then put that face down on this gelatin, and it was absorb the ink, and then you'd peel that off, and then you could put maybe 20 copies one at a time, let them get the print off of it, take it off, put the next one on. After about 20 copies, it was worn out, and you'd have to make another one.
Wow. And now we're just like print it up on the printer.
Yeah.
And pay a lot of money for ink.
Technology stuff goes way back for me, and I've always been interested in it.
Was there anything in particular that when it came out, you were like, wow, that just really wowed you?
It continues to. Yeah, each thing that comes out is wow. Yeah, I love the internet.
Yeah, oh, me too. When the internet started, I was so excited about it. I was super excited about email too, because I figured then that way I could just get, if I had a question for someone, I could just email it whenever and they could answer it. It'd be out of my head.
And you don't have to find an envelope and address it, find the address and put a stamp on it and get it to the post office, all that stuff. You just click a button.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. We were talking about the things we've seen over our lifetime. And I was telling her about how when email first came out, that like one of the things I loved was I could just email people, and it would crack me up how many people didn't get it when it first came out. And so they would call you. They would go, hey, I got your email. And so give me a call when you get a chance. And I'm thinking, in the email, I asked you for specific information that you could just email me back.
Yeah.
Why do we have to talk about it? And so I felt like at the time I worked for a company, and I felt like I was constantly training people on what email was. I would call and go, okay, so in the email, I said the following things. Next time you just email back
Yeah.
with that information. You don't have to call me. You know, like that's why
So
I emailed you.
how are you surviving today when it's not just email, you have voicemail, you have texting,
Yes.
you have Facebook, which has its messenger, and you have something separate that's called message. And I no longer, when somebody has tried to contact me, I don't know if they've tried or not. Where do I look? Like this morning, somebody called me up, and well, where do I find you? Is it on this one? I had to look all around before I found where the message was.
Right. No, but it's true. There's so many ways to message people now. It's pretty dizzying. And I do my best to keep up with the messages I get on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all the different places. I do my best to keep up. But it is definitely not easy, and especially when you get a lot of messages, sometimes you miss them. You just do, you
Right.
know. Um and sometimes I get messages from people and I don't know what in the world they want from me. Like, sometimes people just send me something and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to respond to it or like they don't put any words with it. That those confuse me. When people just send me something, I'm like, did you want me to do something with this? Was I supposed to, I don't know sometimes. I need
Yeah.
words to tell me why you sent something to me because I get so many messages. I can't pay attention to every single one of them,
Right.
you know.
So I find, so many people are inundated with them, and so they cut it all off. In fact, my brother and both of my sons do not have Facebook. They they refuse to have it. So I know that I can't contact them that way, or that they won't see it. So I send them an email or telephone.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I know a lot of people that have decided Facebook wasn't for them. I love it still. I mean, it's one of my favorite social media, and we do a lot of work on Facebook with my company. So with Hundredth Monkey, that's a lot of what we do is on Facebook and advertising and such. And now that we know how it all works, it's pretty cool. So
Yeah, I just have not been able to keep up with it. It's leapfrogged over me. I used to
gotcha.
be like you, helping other people. They thought that I was some sort of a tech savvy person. Well, not anymore.
I know you are though. You still understand a lot of how it works and how it all goes together. And I mean, and I think that there because and I think that's hard to keep up because I've noticed for myself personally, sometimes these new things that come in with another generation, I don't get it. Or I won't understand why something is funny.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I don't understand why that's funny. And sometimes I literally have to ask my daughter, I'm like, tell me why that's funny. I don't get
Yeah.
it.
Yep. Because,
But it's just where they're coming from a different place and they're seeing things that I haven't seen, so they have like it's just like trying to tell a joke in a foreign language.
yeah.
You
That's
don't
why I
always get it.
like Medici media space, because it keep me in contact with what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right, right. So I have some fun questions for you. Are you ready for questions?
I'm ready for questions.
Okay. My
Uh-oh.
first question for you is, who is Howard Alexander?
Oh, yeah. That's. I'm so glad you asked that question. I'm not sure how my parents met Howard Alexander. He was, I think, a student at Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and Dad was working at Bethlehem Steel, and somehow they had made a connection, maybe through Christian Endeavor. But anyway, they became good friends. He was a young mathematics professor, student, and then he later became a college professor at Earlham College in Indiana. Um, but I he was a conscientious objector to the Second World War, and so he was assigned to um, be a guinea pig. They did some experiments on him, and I think he also worked in mental hospitals as alternative service. If you weren't serving in the army, you had to do alternative service, and that was his he was, so he was a conscientious objector, and that had an impact on me. And somehow he was able to come up with the funds so that my parents could buy or get a down payment on their first home. We were just renting in this duplex when Dad was working at the steel mills, and because of his union activities, he lost his job, and the United Steelworkers of America, the union, picked him up and put him on the staff. So the rest of his life, he worked for the CIO. He was loaned by the steelworkers. They paid his salary, but they loaned him to the CIO to deal in community relations. So Howie Alexander was a pretty important person in my life.
Well, so go back to, how was he a guinea pig? What did they do?
I'm not sure what, I don't know whether maybe it was penicillin when they were doing trials like now we have.
Oh, God, yeah. Right.
You're trying to figure out some remedy to it, some vaccine. Of course, this was when I was at that age, why it was polio was a big scare. People were still getting polio. We didn't have a vaccine for it. And smallpox and chickenpox and mumps and whooping cough.
All those things. Yeah. I mean, they still come around a little bit, some of them, but you know, definitely we've taken care of a lot of that. Now we got to figure out the COVID-19 thing.
Yeah, we sure.
This one has thrown us for a bit of a loop.
A big loop.
No kidding.
Worldwide.
What was your favorite experience at Berea College?
Oh, that would have to be the dancing.
Oh, okay.
I had been on the campus as my first time away from home. Here I am deposited on this college campus and in a dorm room, and we were given an orientation, and I met a couple of other guys in the dorm, and one other guy and I went poking around that evening some of the different buildings to see what was going on campus. And we came in the gym, of the small gym at the PE department, and there are a group of dancers there, country dancing, which is it's the type of dancing you see in the Jane Austen movies. Social dancing from an earlier time, historic social dancing.
There's a group gotcha.
They did this, and I said, wow, what's that? I saw Badgett Dillard. I know the names. The guy was Badgett Dillard, was dancing with Eugene Linden, and they were swinging. They were in each other's arms, twirling around. You know, it's called a buzz step swing. And I said, that's for me.
Oh, cool. Fun.
And it ended up the last 22 years of my life. I went back to Berea College as director of the Recreation Extension, it was called. It was a dance program.
Well, I had never heard of this college before, and I noticed it said that it was tuition free.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It was started by abolitionists before the Civil War.
Okay.
In Kentucky. Cassius Clay, who had been the ambassador to Russia, this was back before the Civil War. He was an abolitionist, and he gave some land to John G. Fee, who was a congregational minister, to start an abolitionist community that did not believe in slavery. And so Fee went in and started a school. That was Berea College. So today it was always, well, for a while they had half black and half white students and the whole town. And they even designed to have a white home and then a black home and a white home and a black home.
Really? Building
the town up on this ridge in Kentucky, right close to the mountains. So they had an integrated school. It was co-ed, one of the first colleges to be co-ed too. And in 1904, 1902, after the Civil War, people got tired of the Reconstruction, and some locals who were slave owners, or at least pro-slavery, they wanted this college run out of Kentucky. And so at gunpoint, they were chased across the Ohio River. But right after the Civil War, they were back. And but then the Reconstruction period, people got tired of trying to make integration work. And Kentucky passed a law that forbid blacks and whites from being educated within 5 miles of each other. And it was fought, the college fought it all the way to the Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court, and lost.
Oh, gosh,
And they
really?
had to segregate. They started a black school in Louisville, and Berea College became a white school. When I was there in 1947 to 52, in 51, that law was amended, and Berea immediately started taking blacks in again to its, live up to its start.
Right.
And
Wow. How interesting.
yeah, so yeah, very interesting school. It's a very good school because they were dealing with slaves. They had to have self-help. They developed a labor program. You earned your keep. Instead of tuition, you had to work.
Oh,
And they developed that
interesting.
into an educational experience. And so they not only had an academic dean, but they also had a dean of labor.
Wow.
And
That's a lot
after
of
I
great
went,
lessons for kids, right?
yeah, right, absolutely. And after I got to Berea College, and my two brothers followed me there, and my next brother eventually became the dean of labor.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, so you have quite the history with Berea College. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yes, we do.
I love it. So I got to see a video recently of you celebrating your 90th birthday sheltering in place, but let's talk about it. It was so I loved it. So talk about what happened on your birthday.
Well, COVID-19 had arrived, and I had, before COVID-19 arrived, my son in Kentucky, who lives in Berea, Kentucky, he wanted to know what I wanted for my birthday. And I said, I'd like to spend time with my great-grandchildren. Now, this is my son, Martin. He is a grandfather 13 times.
Whoa. All
And
right.
they all live right there. They have Sunday dinners together at his house.
Oh, cool.
Cousins are growing up together, and I don't get to see them very often, especially since I don't drive with the vertigo. I can't drive anymore. He said, I will come and pick you up in a 4-seater airplane. I have a friend who has a plane. We'll come and pick you in Berea up and take you to Kentucky. You can spend a couple of days with your great-grandchildren, and then we'll fly you back home. Well, with this COVID-19, I called him up and said, Martin, I don't think it's going to be a good idea.
Right.
And so then I called him up later and said, no, call it off. We are staying put. And I resigned myself. I learned in my life that you don't always get what you want.
Right.
So I was resigned to staying at home, and it'd be just like another day, and every day is great. So, but at 4 o'clock in the morning, I got an email from my son in Denmark wishing me happy birthday, and his wife. And then the emails and the messages started coming, and it took me 3 days before I got them all answered, intended to. And so that was fine. And my wife had gotten presents from Amazon that were delivered, and had them all packaged up on the table. And we had I like pie for breakfast.
Wow, that's a
I had
good
a
choice.
pecan pie with a candle in it.
Oh, fun.
So that was my birthday. I thought, but no great-grandchildren. And
The
then
video.
the video. Then
Then
the
the
video
video.
came. That made my day.
I love it. It was so cute. Everybody's saying happy birthday
On
to you. I
my
loved it.
podcast.
That's awesome. Well, I have to tell you, this has been wonderful, John. I have loved getting to know you better. Thank you for being on the podcast with me today.
And everybody appreciates Mish.
Ah, you know, I just have fun. That's my thing. It's like if this is going to be a fun thing, I'm doing it. And this has been wonderful and I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
So it's on Amazon. We can get your books. And where do you do your podcast? How do we find out about your podcast?
Well, it's on 9 different platforms.
So you should be able to find it.
You look up
Google it.
John Martin Ramsey podcast. You can look up for Between the Finite and the Infinite. You can look up Dog Tales. You can look up Flippin' Freud, or the fourth one I had was the media space one. I
Medici.
quit doing that. Yeah, Medici media space. So there's one on that as well.
Cool. Well, and I did actually tag your private group. So if people are interested in being a part of the group, they can click on that and ask to join.
All right.
And learn more about being between the finite, infinite. Yay.
Yay.
Well, thank you, John.
All right. Thank you, Mish.
Shelter in place, stay well, stay safe, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And for everybody out there, you've been listening to MichMash podcast. My love is going out with all of you during this time. Stay safe and well. Love you. Bye.